Are Canadian service providers really expensive and inflexible? Well, let's see. If you're not born in Canada, but you're now doing business in Canada, this is the right place for you, right? Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert, and if this video is useful for you, let us know by clicking the like button. Okay, so this is what I hear a lot, that people complain of the lack of flexibility and how expensive Canadian service providers are. The first thing that people forget is that in Canada there's that symmetry, that what we call you get what you pay. That means there is high trust in the society in a way that there is a high symmetry between value and price. So if something is perceived of having this value, it's going to have this price. But suddenly, if all I want to do is to pay this price, I can expect to receive this value, right? This is kind of implicit in Canadian society in a way that it's not in many emerging countries. Because in many emerging countries, if somebody is charging me this, the pricing is here, I may be receiving this value down here and somebody's just ripping me off. In places where you don't have a high trust in society, that may be more prevalent. And I hear a lot of people having that type of questioning here. Oh, is this what's going on in Canada? Well, let's see how this presents itself, right? So people often will deal with a perceived break of this symmetry. People say, no, Marcel, I hear what you say, but in this case, there's no value and they're charging me a lot. Let's dig a little deeper and see what kind of things typically happen. Typically, we see surprises arising, right? A foreign company that started to operate in Canada starts to see unexpected charges. It's like, well, they told me they're going to charge me for this, but now they're charging me for that. And plus, I'm paying for all these things that I don't really need, and they're trying to rip me off. They're trying out there to get me. And by the way, they're not doing much for me, but they're charging a lot. And if I need just a little change, then they want to come and charge me even more money. And then the unfortunate conclusion is, well, these guys are just comfortable. They want to do something that's easy. They're just comfortable in their comfort zone, and they are just out there to get my money. Well, I do not believe this is the correct conclusion in most cases, and there's definitely things that can be done to avoid this type of situation. Remember, we have our platform that's called Your Business in Canada. You come on board, link here in the description, and what's going to happen is that we're going to be by your side in this journey to build your success in Canada, and you are going to be joined in a group with other immigrant business people that are also building their success in Canada. So it doesn't feel like a lonely journey, okay? So let's look in this specific case then when Canadian service provider seems to be really expensive and not flexible and just ripping me off. Like what's really going on here and how to fix it? First thing that everybody absolutely needs to be aware of, when you get that engagement letter from your supplier, from your Canadian service provider, read everything and make sure you understand. And if you don't understand, ask them to clarify before you sign anything. And if you really want to go above and beyond, you can send back in an email your understanding. Of course, I'm assuming you're never going to sign a legal document without having your lawyer's advice by your side, right? But on top of that, make sure you understand what you're signing, because sometimes there are business terms that the lawyer's not looking for. They're trying to protect you against things that can happen according to the law, right? But they're not paying attention to special business rules that may be defined in the engagement letter. So your engagement letter or your contract with this Canadian service provider is something that you need to read, and then you need to ask questions, get clarity in everything that you need to get clarity before you sign. And why that's so important? Because that piece of paper is what is going to be used by your service provider to point to and say, but you agreed to pay for this. Look at this. It's here in clause whatever, paragraph 10, page 4, right? So you really need to understand that, because once you sign the paper, that means you agreed. Everybody assumes that you read, understood, and agreed. That's what the signature means. And remember another thing, even to do with the engagement letter and the contract, there will be a clause somewhere defining a scope of what it is the service that is being provided to you for that price. But there's very likely going to be a clause saying that anything that changes, any deviations from that can be adapted, whatnot, you're going to incur additional costs. So that's very important to be aware of. There will be additional cost if something is deviating from that original contract, right? So it's important for you to get clarity on what you need. And that's where I get pushed back and say that people say, but hang on, Marcelo, but if I knew what I needed, I wouldn't be hiring this advisor. I'm hiring them because they're supposed to tell me what I need. Fair point, but bear with me here for a second. They know their area of expertise, but they need to know what's your plan, what you want to do with the business side. And then they're going to come with the layer of their expertise and say, okay, if that's going to be your reality, this is the best package for you. But they are not going to work with you for you to come up with the business model. So this is where it gets confusing for people coming from emerging market, because they say, well, but my business model or my strategy can be this, can be that. Typically, let's talk about taxation. They say, yeah, I can incorporate the business like this or like that. And then I will ask the accountant, and then they ask me, what kind of business you want to incorporate? I say, well, I don't know. You tell me which one I'm going to pay less taxes. They say, no, you tell me what you want your business to be, and then I'll tell you the options, right? So there's a bit of a chicken and egg in these type of situations with Canadian service providers, where I see emerging market companies or emerging market business people wanting kind of first to understand everything about the scenario and the rules, and then they're going to decide what their model is going to be. And Canadian business advisors and service advisors, they are used to the other way of thinking, which is you tell me what you want to do first, and then I'm going to apply my area of expertise to what you want to do. You need to come with closed questions for your service provider, not open questions. Don't come to them and say, yeah, what's the best strategy for my business? They're gonna get confused, and that's where you start to spend a lot of money, because in order for them to sit down, understand what you mean, go and think about all possibilities, they're gonna charge you for that. It's important to have then the clarity of your plan beforehand. Clarity of plan before you start to hire people. But how can you get that if you, like, again, I don't know what I don't know. That's why I'm hiring them to give me the advice before I tell them how clear my plan is. There is a way to do this. First, Canada has a lot of free resources for you, right? You need to do your homework leveraging the free resources. There's plenty of places in Canada, municipal level, provincial level, that are free sources of very good information. So you have to do the homework, you have to study enough to have closed questions. You look at whatever the information is, and then you say, oh yeah, I see I would have two paths here, but I wonder, but I really want to accomplish this, but I'm confused if path A or B are better. This is an excellent type of question to come to your service provider in Canada and say, listen, I want to accomplish this goal, and I see that there is this path and that path, and I can't really figure out which one is better. They say, okay, because you have this goal, these are the pros and cons, and then they'll quickly be able to help you. But you need to be able to summarize your understanding and your doubts. You need to have the plan. And how do you arrive at the plan? Leveraging the free resources you can find everywhere in Canada at the City Hall, right? And you need to be able to present your needs and doubts clearly to this Canadian service provider. And this way I can guarantee you still will pay for what you get, right? You get what you pay, but now you're giving them better quality information so they can give you detailed information that has clear value to you. Coming with very open-ended question, with an unclear strategy, it's a great way to have a lot of costs and not have a clear value received by Canadian service providers. Okay, there's 2 more videos here in the links that will be helpful for you to watch in this topic.